So she got what she wanted. Holly Willoughby, it's him or me, the ultimatum that she gave to the ITV bosses. And they'd said, the Mail had reported this the other day, what Holly wants, Holly gets. I think they said that, didn't they say that about Meghan Markle? That's what Harry told people, that what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. And yeah, I see some similarities with Meghan Markle and Holly Willoughby, I must say. Both probably have cultivated a certain persona, being nicey nice, and hey, I just want to be everybody's friend. Also, I would also say that they've maybe perhaps had ulterior motives when it comes to the men they chose to marry. I'll touch on that a little bit just in a minute, but yeah, this is it. I mean, she's ultimately stabbed her former friend in the back. This is how I see it. I know I did kind of initially say in my Dark Side of Philip Schofield video at the start that her wanting to want nothing more to do with Philip Schofield was understandable, but it's the whole thing of the timing of everything with this, with the whole thing with Schofield, and then there's the whole stuff with allegations, with the affair that he had with the runner. So that's why it doesn't add up to me. This whole thing of, well, she was upset about all the stuff to do with his brother Timothy. I mean, let's just say that Philip has done nothing wrong here, and he didn't groom this kid. Um, let him not revealing to his friend Holly about the whole thing, with his brother Timothy, and that being the reason that he was off the show for a few weeks. I mean, would that be the reason? Really, be the reason why you would want nothing to do with your close friend? I mean, to just end a friendship over something like that, like a real private matter. And let's just, we're saying, if hypothetically, if Philip has done nothing wrong here, but she's always to me seemed a little bit just too nice. And my whole thing is that no one can be that nice. Everybody's gonna have some cracks. My mum would used to joke when we'd watch the Extra Factor, when back in the day when she presented it, she would just call her Holly Willoughby. Sorry, Holly Willow Booby. Holly Willow Booby. She never really took to her, my mum. Um, and if my mum doesn't take to somebody, then chances are they're probably not a good person. Um, but yeah, and her background, they were saying stuff like why I see similarities with Megan. That they've maybe, um, well, they've certainly married well, and but she married a guy, Dan. Nothing special looks wise, just a guy with kind of a bit of a big forehead. He is he is big and big guy, high up when it comes to being an executive in TV. He was executive producer on the show she was on, Celebrity Juice, and also that he was a producer of the show Ministry of Mayhem, and that's just the show that she was on very early on when she just got her start in working in television. And with this show, if you look back at clips, this is back when this was Saturday morning children's TV and CITV. Old clips of that. I mean, she's dressing very kind of like scantily clad, and pretty inappropriate for a children's TV show. Really. And this would be stuff that kind of like, I don't know, we saying calling it soft porn would be a bit strong, but certainly would not be appropriate for young kids watching. And whether that was her call to agree to dress like that, or whether the producers that forced her into it, I don't know. But at the end of the day, though, she does have the power of choice. She could have said no. Then again, though, there might have been that pressure. If you say no, you're not gonna last long in television and show business. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, to me, yeah, I mean, she's definitely. I mean, I'm certainly no, I'm not defending Phil here. But she's no doubt stabbed her old pal in the back. This photograph here in 2014 of Phil, Holly, and Matthew McGreevy. 2014 when Matthew had this had an onset visit on This Morning. Now, and let's taking it for granted that you guys know all this stuff about McGreevy, and you know you've done your digging, and many of you that watch this video probably already have. I mean, you know, he was on that. He was part of the drama group, Two Face Productions, that Phil was a patron of. So you mean to tell me when they met up in the studio at 2014 that Holly didn't know? You know, she didn't know about Phil and Matthew's connection? I imagine she would have known, unless it was all kept quiet and it was all hush hush. But I highly doubt that. And again, that's the thing. There's you can go back, you can do some digging, you can see the. I think it was 2019 when they won. It was the NTA Awards, and I think This Morning must have won some kind of award. And the McGreevy's there right behind Philip and Holly's on camera. I think a lot of people say that's quite odd that a runner would be a part of the whole show accepting the award. And there's another photo of Matthew confronting Holly Willoughby, and this was 2019. I think it was NTA Awards outside, and she kind of just looked caught off guard. Like at that moment, she would have wanted to have been anywhere else other than eye to eye with Matthew. And this would have just been maybe like 3-4 weeks before the whole big coming out that Phil had in February 2020. So I mean, there you go. That should tell you everything you need to know. But that she must have been in on the know. So a lot of people will say, well, it's very, oh no, they feel they have empathy, they have sympathy for Holly, but I don't. You know, I think she's a pretty calculated person. The whole nicey nice people pleaser persona I don't buy into. Sonia Polton, the journalist, she had said, and she's someone who's I think made more guest appearances on This Morning than any other person. She had said that Holly, from what she had heard from people backstage, that she would blank people, she ignored people, she would blank the makeup artists. You know, the makeup artists who she would see majority of the time because they'd be obviously there doing her makeup. God knows she'd probably have a fair amount of makeup. But so you know, there's stories out there that she's not that she's more, you know, that there's more to her than meets the eye, and I believe that to be the case. And you know, just I mean the stuff with McGreevy, some people, you know, if it all blows up, you know, Philip, I believe, might try and say that, you know, that he might point out to how, you know, on Twitter he ignored the tweets that McGreevy sent him, blah blah blah. But this is the thing. I mean, with and again, I'm not that I'm a big expert about grooming. I don't know anybody who's been groomed. Yeah, thank Lord, I was never groomed myself when I was a kid. But I mean, people like that, though, what they will do with people, they will plant seeds. They will very much they will manipulate these people. They'll very much be this kind of like you know, a lot of, you know, mind control will be going on, and I'm sure, no doubt, at the drama group, Phil would have. He probably would have had some time alone, just with Matthew, and no one around. I imagine would have batted an eyelid or thought anything of it. But it would have all been all that stuff about planting seeds in his head. Hey, you could be a big star. You could be the one here. You could you could have the fame, the money. You could grow up to really be something big. So that's really the kind of, that would have been the start of the grooming process, and that's not that I'm a big expert on these things, but that's things like that. That's how it starts out. That's how it works. But a lot of this stuff is, I mean, it's going to come out very soon. It is funny because I did a poll on my on my community thing, and I said, well, this was, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. When will Phil get the axe? And I said 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, or 2 months. I think more people said it was 2 months because they obviously know all this stuff about when it will fully get exposed, and there's a certain super, you know what, that will be expired around then. But it was God, I mean, I didn't see it coming within 2 days, but ITV obviously they had to take action. But now I'm reading an article here in the Daily Mail that was posted just a few minutes after midnight today that now they have called a truce. They have held peace talks after weeks of infighting, and this is the thing. I mean, to me, really, they'll have to call a truce because the thing is, if Holly was really in on this and she really knew that Phil had already came out the closet about at least 6 months before it would have been known, and he was already away from his wife, separated in his own little swanky apartment where he quote unquote invited the boys round, and so it's when it all comes out. I mean, the problem, the concerns that Holly Willoughby and ITV bosses will have will be that, well, will Phil just bring them all down with him? Because that's the thing. If Phil ends up feeling in a position where he's got nothing to lose, when you got nothing to lose, you're dangerous, and you if you're going down, you'll take people down with you, and that's very much what Phil might try and do to the ITV Holly, more than likely maybe Holly, I would say, but then maybe this whole thing of these peace talks is maybe her just trying to butter him up, concerned about how he might react with all of this, But yeah, it's and now ITV no doubt would probably be better off getting rid of her. I mean, she'll be okay regardless. I mean, she still has all this different sources of income, all this other things she does. I think with Marks and Spencers and all this other and all this bad throat. Sorry, all this other stuff. So she's going to be okay financially, but it's just things are just blowing up, isn't it? Everything's just from Qgate to obviously Phil, the stuff with his brother, all these other rumors. It's not been a good look for ITV and for this morning at all, and for certainly Holly and Phil. But she's no doubt just trying to cover her arse. I was kind of being diplomatic when I said, well, she's probably trying to get rid of him for good reason, but it's more just she already protected his arse before, back in 2020. But now she can see that the walls are really closing in, and she just wants nothing to do with it because she's self-preserving. But yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. So yeah, I mean, this thing about Holly and Phil calling a truce, it's probably bullshit. But it's probably just trying to butter Phil up, I would say. But it's, but I mean, I guess within a week or so, it'll probably be all. For a while, it'll cool down and people will be find something else different to talk about. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that, guys, for today. Cheers. See ya.